It starts with a guy on a motorcycle, right? He revs that engine and takes off like a shot. He's flying through a tunnel, dodging cars like a maniac, all with one goal, cutting off some dude in a yellow car. But this yellow car driver isn't backing down, he's speeding up, trying to ram him. Our motorcycle guy is not messing around. He floors it and rides up the wall of the tunnel, matching the yellow car's speed. You can almost hear him thinking, if I'm going down, you're coming with me. What kind of hate makes someone that crazy? Well, let's rewind a bit. This is Taejung. He seems like just a regular, super nice delivery guy. He's working hard, dawn till dusk. One night, he's chatting with a coworker when, out of nowhere, a red car speeds by. Some rich kids in the car lean out and knock the delivery guy's food all over the street. Taejung's blood boils. He hops on his scooter and chases after them. These rich punks are driving like maniacs, but Taejung's a seriously skilled driver. Plus, he knows these streets like the back of his hand. He cuts through alleys, jumps curbs, and does whatever it takes to catch up. Finally, he gets close enough. He guns it, blows past their car, and slams on the brakes, stopping right in front of them. "Pay for the food," he shouts. The guy in the car is so scared, he just pulls out his wallet and hands over the money. Of course, Taejung doesn't keep the money. He transfers it to his coworker and then heads off to bring food to his younger brother, Taejin, who's just finishing up extra classes. Ever since their mom passed away, it's just been the two of them looking out for each other. Taejung tells his brother that he'll visit their mom's grave alone tomorrow. Taejin has exams coming up, so he needs to stay home and study, not waste time online. After his deliveries, Taejung is hauling bags of soil to his small garden. Turns out, he and his girlfriend, Suji, are planning to open a flower shop. Some close friends are helping out, and they all celebrate because it's almost ready. Taejung borrowed money from the bank to open the shop, which is why he's working himself to the bone as a delivery driver to pay it back. He thinks maybe he rushed into it a bit, that he should have waited until Taejin graduated. But Suji says that's exactly what she loves about him. He just throws himself into things headfirst. Taejung offers to take her home, but Suji whispers that she wants to stay the night. Taejung, of course, isn't going to say no to that. The next morning, he gets up early to make breakfast for his girlfriend before heading out for his deliveries. He leaves the package at the door, takes a picture as proof of delivery, and turns to find the elevator doors closing. He figures he'll just take the stairs. But in the stairwell, he notices a potted plant that's looking a little wilted. He moves it into the shade and leaves a note for the owner. Too much sun will burn the leaves. At his next delivery, he sees an elderly woman struggling to pull her suitcase up a hill, so he kindly helps her. That evening, Taejung is scarfing down some food when he notices a cell phone lying on the ground. Someone must have dropped it. When he answers it, the woman on the other end says it's her phone and asks him to bring it to her. First, Taejung suggests leaving it somewhere so she can pick it up, but she says she's taking care of her sick mother and can't leave the house. She even offers him 300,000 won, a decent chunk of change, as a reward. Well, of course, he has to go. Taejung jumps on his scooter and heads to the location she gave him. But it's a deserted area just before a tunnel. There are no houses around. The woman tells him to just leave the phone in the emergency phone box inside the tunnel, and she'll pick it up when she has time. Taejung wants to hand it to her in person, but she insists she doesn't want strangers coming to her house. Even though it seems a little strange, Taejung does what she asks. Inside the phone box, he finds an envelope with the 300,000 won reward. As Taejung is about to leave, a truck parked nearby suddenly roars to life and speeds off, almost hitting him. The next day, Taejung makes a memorial meal for his mom. He thought he'd be alone, but Taejin shows up with a pot of flowers. Taejung doesn't scold him. He even lets him have some of his food. Later, after Taejin has left, it starts to rain heavily. Taejung hurries to bring the flower pots inside. Suddenly, someone knocks on the door. Before he can even open it, the police burst in, arrest him, and pin him down. Taejung, you're under arrest for suspicion of rape and murder. At the police station, the media is waiting for news. The story quickly spreads. A woman in her 20s has been found dismembered near the Han River Tunnel. The police have their guy, Taejung. They've got him locked up and say they're pretty sure this wasn't just some random act of violence, but a premeditated crime. Taejung keeps saying he's never even met this woman, but the cops are convinced he raped and murdered her. He's thinking he'll be out soon and is more worried about his plants at the flower shop. But judging by the cops' attitude, they're 100% sure he's the killer. They've even released his name to the media. Suji, his girlfriend, is understandably devastated when she reads the news. The next day, his close friends manage to get permission to visit Taejung. He's so happy to see them and just asks them to take care of his plants. But they tell him things are crazy outside. All his personal information has been leaked online. At his flower shop, some crazed people have spray-painted hateful messages on the walls, calling him a murderer who deserves to die. Tae-jung keeps pleading his innocence, but the jerk detective won't listen. He demands that Tae-jung provide an alibi if he wants to be released. The media is all over the story, analyzing his supposed criminal mind like they know him or something. Suji decides to temporarily close the flower shop and find a lawyer to help Tae-jung. When she visits him, Tae-jung apologizes for putting her through so much trouble. But then Suji actually starts to doubt him. Tae-jung is stunned. He tearfully swears that he truly didn't commit the crime. Only then does Suji breathe a sigh of relief, promising to do everything she can to help him. The lawyer says the best way to clear Tae-jung's name is to prove that he was doing something else at the time the victim died. The problem is, the exact time of death hasn't been determined. Proving every single detail of Tae-jung's activities for 2 whole days is nearly impossible. But Suji points out that Tae-jung is a workaholic. Maybe they can find some kind of evidence in his relentless schedule. So they start calling around, trying to get his delivery history, and ask Tae-jung what he remembers. Luckily, he keeps his delivery receipts at home. They split up and go to each location to ask for information. Since Tae-jung is such a kind, helpful guy, almost everyone agrees to be a witness. There's one time period where they can't find a witness, but they manage to find surveillance video that captures him. Finally, they gather enough evidence to account for Tae-jung's entire schedule for those 2 days. Now they realize how insanely hard Tae-jung works. He never stops. The lawyer is confident that Tae-jung will definitely be exonerated. They're all overjoyed. On the day of the trial, the lawyer presents the evidence of Tae-jung's meticulously documented schedule. The alibi is rock solid. Tae-jung couldn't possibly have had the time to commit the crime. Everything seems to be going smoothly when the prosecutor suddenly counterattacks. The prosecutor points out that the records show Tae-jung made a delivery to the victim's residence. From the time he arrived until the time he left, a total of 7 minutes elapsed. But her apartment was only on the 3rd floor. It shouldn't take 7 minutes to make a delivery. Tae-jung remembers that day and explains that he noticed the peace lily plant was wilting because it was in the wrong spot. So he moved it into the shade, added some nutrients, and left a note. That's why it took so long. Next, the prosecutor shows a video of Tae-jung pulling a suitcase up a hill. Tae-jung explains that an elderly woman asked him for help, but the camera doesn't show her. It turns out the suitcase is identical to the one the killer used to dispose of the victim's body. Although no other cameras caught him carrying the suitcase, the prosecutor argues that he knows the area well and knows the blind spots in the surveillance system. Then the prosecutor asks why he was carrying the victim's cell phone. Surveillance video from a convenience store shows him holding it. Tae-jung recounts how he found the phone and returned it to its owner. The prosecutor points out that the drop-off point was only a few dozen yards from where the body was dumped, and yet Tae-jung never met the owner of the phone in person. This is really hard to explain. Finally, the prosecutor reveals that the GPS coordinates of the victim's phone match Tae-jung's movements exactly. The prosecutor says it's obvious Tae-jung had the victim's phone all day, not just since he supposedly found it. Tae-jung is stunned, unable to defend himself. Finally, the prosecutor presents crime scene photos. The victim was dismembered in the bathroom of an abandoned apartment on another floor in the same building. Suji is horrified when she sees Tae-jung's matching bracelet at the scene. The autopsy reveals the killer's semen inside the victim, and the semen belongs to Tae-jung. The prosecutor also asserts that there was no peace lily plant that Tae-jung mentioned. At this point, Tae-jung has no way to defend himself. He looks completely defeated. The next day, Suji visits Tae-jung and tells him the lawyer has given up. When she asks where his bracelet is, Tae-jung is confused and doesn't know when he lost it. Suji no longer believes him and advises him to plead guilty for a reduced sentence. She tells him she can't wait forever, implying she doesn't think he is worth waiting for. Despite Tae-jung's desperate pleas of innocence, she takes off her own bracelet and returns his, ending the relationship. In that moment, Tae-jung is heartbroken and speechless. A few days later, Tae-jung is convicted and sent to prison. The detective points him out to the prison gang leader and whispers something in his ear, clearly setting Tae-jung up. It's all like a bad dream. This prison is heavily guarded. The prisoners are hosed down like animals and regularly checked for contraband in their mouths. For Tae-jung, this place is hell on earth. The next day, a public defender, Sang-rak, proactively asks to meet with Tae-jung. The lawyer admits he's not a great lawyer, but something about this case doesn't sit right with him. All other suspects were ruled out from the beginning, and everything in the indictment is neatly arranged, as if someone wrote the script in advance. Tae-jung desperately begs Sang-rak for help. He swears he never met the victim, let alone harmed her. Sang-rak asks Tae-jung to recount every detail. Tae-jung suddenly remembers that during the trial, they said a bracelet was found at the scene. But he insists that bracelet wasn't his, because he's never been there. His bracelet must have fallen off at his brother Taejin's place, the day he stopped by to take a nap. The lawyer says this detail could open up a new avenue of investigation. He asks Taejung for Taejin's address and tells him not to tell anyone they are looking into the case. On his second day in prison, Taejung is dragged to the gang leader Deoksu. While the guards turn a blind eye, Deoksu threatens to chop off his hands and use them as a soccer ball. He asks Taejung if he feels ashamed for raping a girl, dismembering her, and throwing her body in the river. Taejung tremblingly says he didn't do it, but no one believes him. Luckily, a guard walks by, and he's temporarily saved. Despite being bullied, Taejung bites his lip and endures it all. He places all his hope on the public defender helping him escape this hell. In this prison, Deoksu is the boss. Known as the headmaster, he extorts money from other inmates. Anyone who doesn't pay enough gets beaten. During lunchtime, two prisoners sitting at the same table tell Taejung about him. It turns out Deoksu was very wealthy, so even though he got a life sentence, it was reduced to 12 years. He especially hates people who commit rape and murder because his sister was killed in the same way. For those who come here for that crime, this place will be hell. One of the inmates offers to help Taejung, but immediately after, he drags Taejung into the bathroom where his accomplices are waiting. Turns out these guys are gay, and Taejung is sexually assaulted. Before Taejung can even process the trauma, he receives another devastating blow. The lawyer, Sangrak, arrives with the news that his brother has taken his own life. Everything is too much to bear, and Taejung completely breaks down. That night, he decides to join his brother in the way Taejin chose. In a delirious haze, Taejung remembers a conversation with Taejin about how to save a wilted plant. Then Taejin suddenly cries out, asking why Taejung would want to die when he's brought so many other things back to life. Startled awake, Taejung finds himself tied down to a hospital bed, alive, but trapped in a living nightmare. They're injecting Taejung with sedatives. Turns out he's ended his life 3 times in the past few days. After that, Taejung retreats into himself, becoming like a ghost. His friends still visit regularly for over a year, but he always refuses to see them. One day, Taejung is taken to a religious service in prison. Seeing him sitting there lifelessly, an altar server, Young-sik, rushes over to check on him and gives him a pastry. Taejung notices that Young-sik's wrists are covered in the same kinds of self-inflicted scars as his own. Young-sik says he's been an altar server in this church for 15 years, but he still can't get used to the metal beds, iron doors, barbed wire fences, and the cold concrete they call floors. First, I was so angry and miserable that I couldn't breathe, he says, but then I had to learn to adapt in order to survive. Hearing this, Taejung bursts into tears, as if he's finally allowed to truly cry. Young-sik advises Taejung to keep himself busy, whether it's studying, exercising, or anything else he can do. Even though life here is harsh, it's still a gift from God and shouldn't be wasted. Taejung takes his advice, beginning to study everything and work on his physical fitness. He also finds some peace in tending to the plants. Young-sik says that if he keeps busy like that every day, the years that seem unbearable will quietly pass by. The beatings don't stop, but the number of sit-ups, jump ropes, and pull-ups Taejung does steadily increases. He starts practicing fighting. He even earns a technical certification, a small piece of proof that he still exists. Today, he managed to block a few of the thugs' blows, but the gang leader immediately retaliated with a few blows that felt like he was being hit by weights. Still, it seems Taejung's ability to withstand punishment has increased significantly. The seeds he sowed have begun to sprout. The number of technical certifications Taejung earns also grows. With the constant encouragement from Young-sik, Taejung is energized. His punches are now faster, stronger, and, most importantly, no longer shaky. 5 years pass in the blink of an eye. A mysterious person receives a phone call requesting that someone be framed for a crime, and he promises to take care of it cleanly and smoothly. In a closed room filled with hundreds of monitors displaying feeds from countless cameras, a new target has been selected. Back in prison, Taejung finds some solace in his small garden. Today, he even shows the warden, Cheol-hwan, how to care for a plant that's suffering from nutrient deficiencies due to lack of sunlight. Taejung offers to help Cheol-hwan's plant get healthier if he brings him a bigger pot to replant it in. Young-sik compliments Taejung, calling him a real plant doctor. He also says that in prison, everyone brags about their criminal records like their trophies. He hopes Taejung can hold onto the good inside him. Taejung notices that Young-sik's voice sounds strange today. It turns out, it's Young-sik's release day. He wants Taejung to take his place as an altar server for the priest. When Taejung asks why he's been so kind to him, Young-sik says he just wanted to make sure that he continued to live. Taejung is happy for him, but his heart sinks, knowing he will be sad to lose his best friend. As Young-sik walks out the gate, Taejung calls out his name and bows deeply. "Thank you for everything," he says. He watches him until his figure disappears behind the iron gate. A few days later, a new prisoner is beaten badly. Looking at him, Taejung sees himself from years ago. That day, the warden takes the new prisoner in for confession, but the new prisoner's story stuns Taejung. Jin-hun was framed with details almost identical to Taejung's case. A dropped cell phone, a woman promising 300,000 won if he delivers it to a meeting point. Security cameras record everything, and the video is used to accuse him. The police also found Jin-hun's belongings and fingerprints at the scene, a place he had never been. Also, the same lawyer, Sang-rak, contacted him. The very next day, Jin-hun received the news that his mother had taken her own life. It turns out Jin-hun doesn't believe his mother committed suicide because she always said anyone who takes their own life will not be saved. He's certain they murdered her. Taejung, overwhelmed by the realization, stays awake all night. The next morning, Jin-hun is found dead in his cell, his mouth stuffed with pages from the Bible. Unable to take it anymore, Taejung pretends to have new evidence and demands to see the lawyer, Sang-rak. When Taejung asks about Jin-hun's case, if he was really trying to help, Sang-rak becomes evasive. Realizing there's no new evidence, Sang-rak's demeanor turns cold. Taejung lunges at him, grabbing his throat. "Who killed my brother?" Sang-rak stands up and smirks. "Even if it was all a trap, you can't do anything about it. Your brother died because of you. You killed my brother." "Yes, I killed him," Sang-rak replies. "I swear to God. One day, I will kill you. From inside this prison." Sang-rak laughs. "Why don't you write a suicide note and kill yourself? Maybe your case will be reinvestigated." Leaving the prison, Sang-rak immediately calls his boss, Johan. There's a loose end that needs to be cleaned up immediately. That night, Taejung requests to see the priest. He says he can't continue to be an altar server. When the priest asks why, Taejung responds with words Young-sik once spoke. "I must think that I am already dead, and the remaining days are a gift from God." And in his heart, he considers that gift to be an opportunity to avenge his brother. He clenches his fist, pulling a screw out of the wooden panel. Blood drips from his hand, but compared to the pain in his heart, the wound is nothing. At an auction, a sculpture, number 73, by a renowned sculptor is being bid on, reaching 2 billion. Only 2 bidders remain. Chairman Shin and a mysterious online bidder, number 56. Number 56 continues to bid higher, while Chairman Shin is visibly stressed but continues to follow. At 4 billion, he asks for a pause to consider. He calls someone and asks if he can offer something else of clear value. It turns out the person he's calling is the mysterious bidder number 56. Number 56 asks him how much his son's life is worth and insists that he must hand over the sculpture, or he will refuse to accept the commission. Chairman Shin reluctantly returns to the auction and raises the bid to 4 billion. Then number 56 raises it again to 4.5 billion and then 5.5 billion. Shin is turning red and feels like he's about to have a stroke, but eventually bites the bullet and raises it to 6 billion. Seeing that he's at his breaking point, number 56 smiles and decides to stop at 6 billion. Even for a wealthy chairman, that's a huge amount of money. It turns out that the mysterious bidder number 56 is Johan, who specializes in framing people to protect the wealthy elite. That same day, sculpture number 73 is delivered to Johan. Inside his house are countless similar sculptures. He calls Chairman Shin to inform him that the person who went to prison in his son's place is dead. He says the guy stuffed a Bible in his mouth, so his son is now completely clean. Besides the framing service, Johan is also the chairman of a construction company. The lawyer, Sang-rak, calls Johan to report that the sculpture was damaged. If it's damaged, it has to be disposed of, Johan says. He immediately calls his doctor henchman to give him an order. At the same time, the doctor has just finished dealing with a dead body. Meanwhile, Deoksu's gang threatens to beat Taejung again, but this time he says he's not in the mood. Deoksu laughs and orders Taejung to be a punching bag for the fat guy to train. But he doesn't obey this time, striking back instead, hitting them repeatedly. One of them unexpectedly attacks, causing Taejung to bleed profusely. He goes crazy, smashing the guy's head repeatedly, then knocking out another one, and then another, leaving the gang leader stunned and speechless. Taejung warns them not to touch him again. Young-sik's daughter, Eun-bai, visits her father's electronics store without even greeting him. She smokes a cigarette, casually takes money from his pocket, and then rummages around for the money he hides under the potted plant. She sneers when she sees a photo of him with Taejung in prison. "You think praying in prison gets you forgiveness?" Young-sik is helpless with his rebellious daughter, only asking for some money to buy kimbap. As he's hiding the money, the priest enters. It turns out he came to report that Taejong returned the Bible to him. Meanwhile, Deok-soo is still furious about being humiliated by Taejong. Overhearing another inmate discussing the incident, he loses it and beats him senseless. A tattooed guy appears and mocks Deok-soo. Turns out he used to be in this prison and was a rival to Deok-soo. Just then, the warden arrives, and everyone disperses. The warden tells Deok-soo to meet with the superintendent. The superintendent is pressuring Deok-soo to organize fight clubs, so he can make money betting. The superintendent knows Deok-soo wants to deal with Taejong and tells him to stop. This is a sensitive time since there was just a suicide. If another person dies, he will be disciplined. In exchange for Deok-soo's patience, he puts 2 wealthy economic offenders in Deok-soo's cell, giving him ample opportunity for extortion. Young-sik visits Taejong and asks if anything's wrong, fearing he's thinking of doing something foolish again. Taejong insists that he's fine, but he's been looking at the plants in here for too long. He wants to see something else. I didn't commit the crime, and I'm going to get out of here. Meanwhile, despite promising the superintendent he would be patient, Deok-soo secretly orders his underlings to deal with Taejong. That night, Taejong plans his escape. First, he needs normal clothes to blend in, and next, he needs keys. The guard shift changes at 3:30 a.m., which is when he needs to act. Zone B has a door that leads to the outside. The only way to get to Zone B without being detected is through the ventilation system. Visiting hours end at 4 p.m., when the food truck arrives. He needs to get out before then. Deok-soo's underling is moved into Taejong's cell. At midnight, thinking Taejong is sound asleep, he pulls out a knife to finish him off. But Taejong was waiting for him. Turns out this guy is only good at sneak attacks and is no match for Taejong. It's just that he has a weapon, which makes it a little harder for Taejong. The next morning, Taejong calmly walks to roll call, without a scratch on him. Deok-soo is furious, glaring at him with murderous intent. Taejong knows that to move forward, he needs to eliminate this obstacle first. During lunchtime, he deliberately sits at the same table as Scarface, provoking him until he loses it and starts punching Taejong repeatedly. But Taejong doesn't fight back. When the warden shows up, Taejong knows he's taken care of the obstacle. The next day, Cheol-hwan visits the garden, announcing that Deok-soo has been sent to solitary confinement. He hands Taejong the green floral foam that he asked him to find. Taejong lied, saying he needed it to decorate the chapel, but he actually used it for a different purpose. Today, Taejong skillfully replaces a prisoner who is assigned to clean in Zone B and easily obtains the key to the Zone B gate. He then imprints the key using the floral foam hidden in a plant pot. At the same time, the Ministry of Justice sends a doctor to vaccinate the prisoners, who is none other than Johan's Dr. Henchman. He scans the list and stops at Taejong's number, quietly separating 1 vial of medicine and putting it in his pocket. After lunch, everyone is called out for vaccinations, while Taejong offers to help a guard repair his car. This is the perfect opportunity for him to cut the key. At that moment, the guard returns earlier than expected, bringing him a pastry as thanks. Seeing Taejong working, he inspects him. Taejong manages to pretend that he is fixing something, so the guard doesn't suspect anything, but he still demands to be searched according to procedure. Luckily, Taejong was quick enough to stuff the key into the pastry bag. On the way back, he is blocked by Kong Chae's gang. Kong Chae wants to recruit him into his gang because Taejong is the only one in the prison who dares to stand up to Scarface. Taejong refuses outright, and Kong Chae is slightly embarrassed but still tells him to think about it. In reality, Taejong is focused on escaping and has no interest in joining any factions. Young-sik tells him that his escape plan is impossible. To get out, he has to pass through 3 gates with guard towers and armed guards. It's not as simple as climbing over a few walls. But Taejong isn't planning on climbing any walls. He's gonna walk out the front gate. Back in his cell, he finds the superintendent waiting for him. He says there's a big fight tomorrow and he's bet all his money on him. He's worried the vaccine will affect his stamina, so he's assigned someone else to get vaccinated in his place. The doctor hears the correct code for Taejong and takes the special vial from his pocket, but then notices that the face doesn't match. The next day, at exactly 3 p.m., the superintendent arrives to remind Taejong to go to the arena. With no other choice, he quickly throws 3 punches, knocking his opponent to the ground. Then he returns to his cell to begin his plan, but upon opening the door, he finds the doctor and Cheol-hwan waiting. Taejong, it's your turn for the vaccine, Cheol-hwan says. The time is 3:27 p.m. His heart is pounding. The doctor pulls out the specially prepared vial and injects it directly into his arm. The doctor injects the vaccine into Taejong's arm, but it's actually poison. Taejong is anxiously looking at the clock, because he only has half an hour until his scheduled meeting with Young-sik. As the doctor leaves, Taejung quietly slips the screw and the key into his pocket. First, he uses the screw to short-circuit the security camera system. While the officer runs to check it, he sneaks in and steals the security pass. Pretending to be cleaning, he easily fools the guard. Next, he goes to the storage room to change into civilian clothes, then puts his prison uniform back on over them. Reaching the gate to Zone B, he's almost caught by a guard and has to hide in a storage room. Luckily, the guard only does a cursory check and doesn't find him. Before he can catch his breath, the poison starts to take effect. Taejung suddenly feels dizzy and lightheaded, but time is running out, so he forces himself to keep going. Outside, Young-sik is waiting, his heart pounding with worry. He doesn't know if Taejung was serious or joking. He's worried if he comes out and worried if he doesn't. To get past the guards, Taejung chooses the ventilation duct leading to Zone B. He takes off his prison clothes and climbs into the vent. But the noise he makes while moving attracts the attention of the supervisor. Luckily, he thinks it's just a rat and pokes at it a few times, then leaves it alone. Warden Cheol-hwan is on his way home when he sees Young-sik. Recognizing him, he stops to say hello. Young-sik is forced to lie, saying he's visiting family, but it's past visiting hours. Cheol-hwan offers to take him inside, but Young-sik declines, saying he'll come back tomorrow. Taejung reaches Zone B, but his head is increasingly dizzy. His vision is blurring, and his heart is racing. Still, he forces himself to drag himself towards the civil service office where he's supposed to meet Young-sik. There are only 3 minutes until closing time. Just as he sits down, he gently pokes a hole in a visitor's food bag. The contents spill everywhere, causing everyone to scramble to pick them up. Taking advantage of the chaos, Taejung slips through the front door and makes it outside. But at that very moment, the poison takes full effect, and Taejung collapses. Meanwhile, Johan is idly watching a Formula 1 test race on a giant screen. He yawns and asks the person in charge if he can release banana peels so the cars crash into each other and burst into flames for fun. The person thinks he's joking, but Johan says seriously, "I'm not kidding." Just then, the race ends. The team Johan sponsors wins, even setting a new record. Johan is not happy at all. Winning without accidents is boring. The person in charge truthfully says that it would be dangerous for the drivers' lives. Then cut the sponsorship, Johan says, "I have no interest in people who only know how to drive safely." Back home, he carefully assembles a giant Lego model. Johan's nanny enters and asks him what he's doing that's fun. He whispers something in her ear, and they both burst out laughing. Johan orders her to make a list of clients related to the Ministry of Justice. The very next day, the Ministry of Justice car, along with the Director General of the Correctional Bureau, personally escorts Johan to the prison. The gray-haired director tells the prison director to carry out whatever instructions Johan gives him. Johan says he's not close to the Director General, but he knows the person who appointed him. But that's not all. Johan knows the prison director's weakness. He used public funds to invest in cryptocurrency and got scammed. Johan proposes a volunteer environmental project at the abandoned factory and throws a bag of gold bars worth 200 million each in front of him, promising 5 more packs if everything goes smoothly. His request is very clear: to allow prisoners to go out and do community service. The prisoners selected must be violent criminals and murderers who committed robbery. If there aren't enough people, he can choose anyone who annoys him. Without much thought, the prison director immediately agrees. Cheol-hwan sits in front of the surveillance monitor reviewing the recording. Every scene is clear. Taejung shuts out the camera, steals the access card, and sneaks through the hallway like a ghost. Not feeling at ease, Cheol-hwan climbs into the ventilation duct, following each section of the route that Taejung took. In the end, he can only sigh with a hint of admiration. He just casually walks through the main gate. But Taejung's escape plan has failed. He was found by the priest and taken to the infirmary. The doctor announces that Taejung has a large amount of rat poison in his blood. Fortunately, the vitamin K3 he drank earlier became an antidote, saving him from certain death. Even so, Taejung vomits continuously, his body completely exhausted. Cheol-hwan visits Taejung, pretending not to know anything and only vaguely mentioning rumors spreading throughout the prison. Some say Taejung was planning to escape. Others say he fainted from accidentally eating rat poison. But Cheol-hwan suspects someone wanted to harm Taejung, because he isn't the type to poison himself. Cheol-hwan admits that Taejung's plan to escape through the front gate was very bold, and it was indeed the weakest point in the entire system. He says he'll wait until Taejung fully recovers before starting an investigation. Before leaving, Taejung asks Cheol-hwan to tell Young-sik that he thanks him for saving him once again. The next day, when Cheol-hwan relays the message, Young-sik is confused and doesn't understand what Taejung means. The prisoners are abuzz, confused as to why Taejung would try to escape and drink rat poison at the same time. But everyone has to admit that Taejung is not to be trifled with. The prison director orders Deok-soo to be released from solitary confinement. Clearly, he has just been added to Johan's community project list. As soon as he's out, Deok-soo drags his underlings to find Taejung. Without warning, he orders them to rush in and stab him repeatedly. But under the blanket are just boxes. Taejung managed to escape to the ceiling. He jumps down, taking down two and subduing the buzzcut guy. But the poison in his body is blurring his vision. The rest of the gang takes the opportunity to stab him repeatedly. Taejung tries to hold on, but gets another knife in the shoulder. Meanwhile, in a closed meeting room, the prison director announces the project to take prisoners out to participate in community activities. Then he throws a pile of cash on the table, announcing that whoever participates gets 5 stacks, and more when the job is done. The superintendent grabs the money first, the rest following suit, grabbing their share. At this time, Cheol Hwan has discovered something unusual at the infirmary, but Deok-soo's gang blocks him outside, willing to deal with him even if it means longer sentences. Cheol Hwan is forced to leave and issues an alert, requesting the quick response team to arrive at Building A4 immediately. Inside, Taejung is still fighting Deok-soo's gang alone. The poison is taking its toll, gradually weakening him, but he continues to fight with all his survival instincts. Finally, Taejung manages to defeat the smaller fries, leaving only the gang leader Deok-soo, who is still full of energy. Taking advantage of Taejung's carelessness, he stabs him straight with a deep blow. At this time, Cheol Hwan and the team have arrived outside but are blocked by the gang at the door. After a struggle, Deok-soo pins Taejung to the floor, 5 knives ready to deliver the final blow. But at that very moment, Taejung bursts up, steals the knife, and reverses the situation. Deok-soo yells, "Stab me in the neck. Do it. Stab me." But in the end, Taejung only slices off a small piece of his ear. Just then, the guard team bursts in. The entire room is filled with injured bodies, but Taejung is still standing, covered in wounds. A few weeks later, in a daze, Taejung meets his younger brother again. Taejin warns him to be careful. It's very dangerous out there. Taejung swears to find the people who harmed him and make them pay. Before he can finish, he is covered with a bag over his head by 2 guards and dragged away. Deok-soo suffers the same fate. There is chaos throughout the prison. Anyone who resists is beaten with batons. A total of 12 people are locked in a closed truck and taken away at night. In that list are both Taejung and the gang leader Deok-soo, the guy who even raped his own sister. The next morning, the prisoners, wearing white uniforms with numbers, enter an abandoned factory. Around them are dozens of masked gunmen standing guard, and overhead is a flycam. No one understands what is happening, until Johan appears from above, announcing with glee, "From this moment on, your time begins. Welcome to the land of opportunity." The year before, the young heir, Du Kyung, went out with a girl, and they both went back to her place for more drinks. If that were all, there wouldn't have been a problem, but this guy took out drugs, and in a high stupor he accidentally killed her. When he sobered up a little, he called his congressman dad for help. Johan's investment company just won a bid to build the National Data Center. At the announcement party, some officials murmured that the project reeked of money because this unknown company wasn't even on the initial bidding list. Johan, standing nearby, overheard everything and warned, "Don't underestimate this company. We can easily collect detailed information about you." Then he revealed that he was the owner of the entire company and insulted the 3 officials, calling them insignificant flies to him. One official was furious, threatening to teach him a lesson, not knowing that Johan had already targeted him for daring to point fingers at him. Right after the party, the official was about to leave when a car blocked his path. The assassin doctor appeared like a ghost and severed his index finger. Johan took the finger home, attaching it to one of his macabre sculptures, seemingly very satisfied with completing the piece. A crazy person with money and power? That's a nightmare. At this moment, Beck called, asking him to help his son escape the murder charge. Johan said the service doesn't cost money, but demanded that he buy him a piece of art. He just needed to tell his son to soak the body in warm water, and then he'd take care of everything. As soon as he hung up, Johan ordered his henchmen to erase all traces at the crime scene. State-of-the-art 3D scanners sent images of the crime scene to the control room. Johan began analyzing the situation. Du Kyung had dragged the girl's body into the bathroom to soak in warm water, as he instructed. This would prevent the police from accurately determining the time of death. Johan began flipping through countless surveillance monitors to find a scapegoat, and Taejung was unluckily selected, simply because he frequently delivered to that building. That night, when Taejung went to make a delivery, a motorcyclist secretly followed him. Every move he made was transmitted to Johann. Johann learned he was always busy. He had a younger brother with a special love for plants. From those facts, Johann built a plan to frame him. The next morning, as soon as Taejung got on his scooter to go to work, someone carrying the victim's phone followed him to create GPS evidence. Another team immediately broke into his house. There, they collected his fingerprints, installed surveillance cameras, and took his old shoes. They created gloves with his fingerprints and used them to create fake traces at the crime scene. Then they wore his shoes to create bloody footprints. When Johann saw his girlfriend staying with Taejung that night, he was overjoyed. The very next day, they took his semen from a condom in the trash and injected it into the girl's body. Then Johann discovered that Taejung had lost his bracelet. He ordered his henchmen to find an identical one and place it at the scene. The doctor dismembered the body, put it in a suitcase, and tricked Taejung so the camera would catch him pulling it up the hill. Johann also ordered his men to put the wilted potted plant in the stairwell so Taejung would stop for a moment, making his alibi incomplete. A very detailed and meticulous plan. In the end, Taejung couldn't escape that perfect trap. Back to the present, the night before, the truck carrying 12 prisoners arrived at the abandoned factory. The soldiers pushed them out of the truck and led them into a room. When they removed the hoods, they saw a lavish banquet. The hungry prisoners didn't think much and rushed to devour the food. Only Gangjae noticed Johann watching them from above. But before he could go up to meet him, he was stopped by the guards. After eating, everyone was assigned a numbered room to rest in. They were all confused, not knowing what awaited them. That night, Taejung quietly snuck out, looking for a way to escape. Outside, the guards are still heavily armed and alert. After circling around and avoiding them for a while, Taejung finds an exit. But just as he's about to escape, 3 gunshots ring out, and countless red dots appear on him. Taejung is forced to raise his hands in surrender and return. Johann tells him to get in the car so he can take him back to his room, but Taejung turns around and walks straight. Johann isn't angry, but rather amused at his despair. Hearing his tone, Taejung figures out that he's the one who brought them here. Johann reveals that there will be a competition, and the winner will receive a special prize. But he doesn't say what it is. Looking at the way they're guarding this place, Taejung is forced to abandon his escape attempt. That night, his cellmate, Ji-young, cozies up to him, talking to him as if they're close friends. He claims to be on Taejung's side after seeing how he fought, and then begs him to go somewhere with him, swearing he won't hurt him. But he actually takes him to the gang leader, Deok-soo. Fortunately for Deok-soo, his ear wasn't completely severed and was stitched back on by the doctor. Knowing this guy hates his guts, Taejung breaks a beer bottle, ready to risk his life. Just then, 2 gunshots ring out, and the guards warn both sides to stop. The next morning, loud music blares, startling the prisoners awake. They have to put on their uniforms and are taken to an empty area. As soon as the music stops, Johann announces that their time starts now. This is a racetrack. Everyone will drive a randomly assigned car and race each other. There are no rules. One of the prisoners curses. "What the hell is this game? Are you raising us like cattle for your entertainment? You're delusional." Then 11 turns to walk away. Johann coldly shoots him, sending him to the sky. This brutal display stuns the prisoners. No one dares to resist anymore. A truck arrives. Inside is a mountain of cash, and 5 billion will be the prize money for the winner. The huge amount of money makes the prisoners' eyes light up. Johann continues, announcing that the numbers on their uniforms match the garages they are assigned to work in. Their cars will be inside, and he gives everyone a chance to meet him directly if they have any questions. Soon after, the rich heir, Du Kyung, and another guy arrive at the racetrack. They call the unlucky people who took their place scapegoats. The other guy's scapegoat was a prisoner who took his own life by swallowing pages from the Bible. Du Kyung boasts that he has 3 scapegoats, meaning this jerk has killed 3 people, and one of those 3 unlucky scapegoats is Taejung. Turns out that these 2 were invited by Johann to watch the race together. He reveals that this is not a simple race but more like an air battle. It will be the most fun they've had in years. At this time, the prisoners have arrived at their numbered garage to receive their cars. Scarface cries out in pain when he receives an old rickety car. Gangjae is satisfied to receive a good one, and Ji-young is ecstatic to see a cool sports car. Taejung hasn't figured out if his car is good or not. Johann explains that those who don't have good cars may not be at a disadvantage. The only rule is that there are no rules. The prisoners are allowed to do anything to win. One by one, group by group, they start using the parts in the garage to modify their cars. It turns out that Johann wants to use this race to attract gamblers. Even more races will be held later and expanded overseas, and the 3 of them will be co-founders of this company. As for the huge prize money, he grins. revealing that no one will reach the finish line. The next morning, Ji-young cozies up to Tae-jung, suggesting they ally. Everyone else is paired up. Playing solo is sure to fail. If they win 5 billion, he only needs an apartment. The rest is for him. Tae-jung is not interested. Take it back to your grandma. Hearing this, Ji-young is overjoyed, considering himself on the same side now, and thrilled because Tae-jung has a car repair license. In another corner, Gang Jae instructs his underlings that, regardless of who wins, they must divide the prize money equally, and everyone must absolutely obey his orders. Soon after, Gang Jae goes to meet Johan. As soon as he faces the boss, he starts buttering him up, proposing a limited-time partnership. He understands that the scale of this project is not small and recognizes that Johan is the real boss, to the point that even the warden bows to him. He insists he wants a long-term partnership and is willing to become a useful toy for Johan. Johan calls out Gang Jae, saying he has 18 fraud convictions. He's indeed a great flatterer, but says he'll think about the offer. The second meeting with Deok-soo is far more dramatic. Deok-soo doesn't want the prize money. He just wants to personally kill a bastard. Johan is thrilled to hear that. In this game, he can do whatever he wants. Deok-soo remarks that the boss is much more fun than the cowardly prison director. For Johan, the most important thing is not who wins, but that the game is truly entertaining. At the moment, in the garage, Ji-young excitedly shows Tae-jung his sports car. But Tae-jung checks it out and says it's junk. It only looks good on the outside. In another room, Number B aggressively threatens Number 6 with a saw, demanding the keys and brazenly stealing the car. Just then, the tattooed Gang Jae walks by. Witnessing the daylight robbery, he immediately realizes there are no rules here. Just as he's about to take the SUV from Number 3, an underling runs up to report that Number 10 has a sports car. Hearing this, Gang Jae immediately changes direction, taking the whole gang to steal Ji-young's car. At this moment, hearing the screams and destruction, Ji-young rushes out and sees the car robbery in full swing. Turning back, he sees Gang Jae's gang charging straight towards him. Ji-young runs back to tell Tae-jung and then stands guard at the door. But Tae-jung has already gotten into the car and tells Ji-young to get in with him. The car shoots off like an arrow, knocking Gang Jae onto the hood. As he speeds past Deok-soo, Ji-young even flips him off. Seeing his prey, Tae-jung, Deok-soo gets into his car and chases after them. Not to be outdone, Gang Jae also jumps into car number 5 and floors it. Unexpectedly, just as he exits the gate, he is blocked by car number 4, Deok-soo's underling. Gang Jae grits his teeth and rams straight through, determined not to lose Tae-jung. At this time, Deok-soo's car is tailgating Tae-jung. Ji-young is frantically screaming, urging Tae-jung to step on the gas. High above, Johan and Do-kyung are enjoying the chase. Seeing that he can't escape from Deok-soo's car, Tae-jung suddenly swerves and slams on the brakes, causing Deok-soo's car to lose momentum. Then he turns around and speeds off. Just when it seemed like he had escaped, Deok-soo unexpectedly rams straight into the side of his car. The car spins around several times before stopping, with smoke billowing out. Before he can recover, Deok-soo has left his car and is preparing to ram them with a final blow. Just at the moment of truth, Gang Jae's car suddenly swerves over, taking the brunt of the force. Thanks to this, Tae-jung escapes death by a hair's breadth. Just then, a guard tower opens fire as a warning. In the control room, Do-kyung claps with delight, but Johan only smirks, saying the real match has to be more fun. Then he orders them to stop the game because the injured players can't race. The problem now is that Ji-young's sports car is severely damaged. After struggling to push it, the car finally starts. But after only a few meters, the car suddenly explodes and bursts into flames, filling the air with smoke and fire, terrifying them both. Right now, Tae-jung sees a high slope that leads to the outside, but doesn't know where it leads. The next day, Tae-jung goes to meet the boss, Johan. He actually has nothing to offer. He just wants to observe the entire abandoned factory. When the boss asks why he came, Tae-jung just shrugs, saying it's just curiosity. He guesses that his real purpose is not to organize car races, because everyone's car is different, there are no rules, and the terrain is not suitable. Johan is a little surprised but still tells someone to bring a box of vitamin C. Tae-jung doesn't take it but points to a wilted potted plant. Then he returns to room number 9, starts modifying his car, carrying over a bunch of parts from Ji-young's broken car. He toils through the night. Today is the day of the official race. Gang Jae is still planning to take down Tae-jung. When his underling questions it, he says even that guy driving a wreck can come in first. At that moment, the boss calls Gang Jae, announcing that he accepts the partnership proposal and even gives him a special gift in the backseat. If the match is boring, he should make it interesting. Gang Jae insists he will be a loyal servant to Johan. But as soon as he hangs up, he mumbles insults at him. The official race begins. The drivers line up at the starting line. Gang Jae observes carefully and remarks that Deoksu's car is modified as badly as his face. Conversely, he praises Taejung for modifying his car with care. On the platform, Johan is also ready to broadcast the race live to the gamblers. Just before the start, Fat number 12 seizes the opportunity to steal a car from someone else. The loudspeaker announces the rules. The race has no rules. The prize will go to the person who crosses the finish line first after 20 laps. Before they can even start, Gang Jae orders his underlings to take out Taejung first. When the signal sounds, the racers speed forward crazily, but only car number 11 continuously goes off the track. Meanwhile, car number 2 takes the lead thanks to a powerful engine. As number 2 is gleefully celebrating, suddenly the engine explodes and the car loses control, crashing into the barrier. On the platform, the two rich heirs cheer excitedly. It turns out Du Kyung bet on car number 9 of Taejung, while the other one bet on car number 6 of Deoksu. At the same time, Johan looks at Taejung's file, suddenly remembering that he's the plant-loving guy who was wrongly accused by him one day. Immediately, he orders Gang Jae to eliminate car number 9 of Taejung. Car number 5 of Gang Jae crazily speeds up, pushing close to number 9. Number 9 reacts extremely quickly, overtakes, and makes a sharp turn to cut off number 5. The young heirs are extremely excited. At this time, Deoksu catches up. Both numbers B and number 6 rush in, squeezing number 9 flat. Deoksu grabs a knife, intending to finish off Taejung, but unexpectedly, the driver is not Taejung but Ji-young, and Taejung is driving car number 11, which has now run off the track. When the flycam finds car number 11, no one is inside. Taejung speeds out on an old motorcycle, smashing the flycam. Du Kyung says this is cheating, but Johan finds it extremely interesting. Taejung doesn't run away but speeds straight to Deoksu. Deoksu also goes crazy, charging forward. At the same time, car number 5 of Gang Jae also speeds over. Both attack at the same time. Unexpectedly, Taejung jumps over both of them like in an action movie. Deoksu immediately gets into his car and chases after him. Now both Deoksu and Gang Jae are chasing Taejung's motorcycle. At this moment, Johan reminds Gang Jae to use his gift. Turns out to be a handgun. But Taejung quickly turns into a factory, easily cutting off both of them. Johan directs Gang Jae, urging him to take action quickly. Suddenly, Taejung stops, ties a gas tank to the back of the motorcycle, and speeds off. Gang Jae chases and fires, but Taejung swerves like a snake, dodging every bullet. The audience is extremely excited to witness a live shooting in real life. Quickly, Taejung swerves to the side so the gas tank hits and breaks Gang Jae's tire, causing the car to flip over and chase right behind him. Fortunately, he manages to brake just in time for it to fly over his head. Du Kyung excitedly cheers like crazy. To make the game more thrilling, Johan decides to change the rules. The person who catches the motorcycle wins the game. Regardless of whether he's alive or dead, as long as he catches the motorcycle, the prize money will be doubled. So now Taejung is worth 10 billion. The drivers crazily search for him, including Deoksu. Before he can run away, Taejung is rammed by Deoksu's car, causing him to fall. He pulls out a knife and stabs him twice, but Taejung resiliently pushes him away and puts the knife to his neck. While they're struggling, another car rams straight into him. Number 8 jumps out to grab Taejung, but Deoksu stabs him and he gets out of the way. Taejung then kicks Deoksu away. While they're both staggering, car number 8 crashes into Deoksu, sending him flying. Taejung manages to dodge it, but is immediately hit by car number 1. Number 4 charges in to subdue him, but Taejung knocks him out. Taking advantage of Deoksu being dazed, Taejung lands a final kick to his head. Now there's no one left hunting Taejung anymore. Johan, furious, picks up a sniper rifle and steps out, aiming straight at Taejung. Down below, while number B is choking Taejung, Johan shoots his head off. Now Johan wants to finish off Taejung himself. Taejung is injured but still manages to roll around to dodge the bullets. Taking advantage of Johan's reloading, he jumps on the motorcycle and speeds off. But at this moment, car number 7 chases after him. Taejung has to evade number 7 and dodge Johan's bullets. Johan intends to shoot the water tower to fall on Taejung. Fortunately, he dodges it, and the one who gets hit is car number 7. At this moment, Taejung suddenly stops, and the flycam flies to the front, capturing his face straight on. Now Johan realizes Taejung's real target is that long slope leading to the outside. It turns out that yesterday, Taejung intentionally went to meet him to observe where this road leads. But at this moment, 2 crashed cars are blocking the slope. Taejung sends the gas tank flying into the 2 cars, causing them to explode and fly apart. In front are huge flames, but Taejung risks it all and floors it, speeding through the fire and accelerating up the runway. Just as Taejung flies off the end of the slope, Johan also aims straight at him and pulls the trigger. Taejung is lucky, only getting grazed by the bullet. He falls into the river and doesn't manage to swim ashore until evening. He sneaks into a house and steals a set of clothes to change into, then starts running like crazy without daring to stop. When he gets to the city, heavy rain starts falling. Taejung tries his best to drag himself to Young-sik's electronics store. When the priest opens the door, Taejung collapses from exhaustion. The priest helps him to the bed and carefully bandages his wounds. Meanwhile, Johan is furious at losing his prey. The prison director is worried about how to report to the top. Johan tells him to say that the prisoners died in a gas accident. As for the escaped prisoner, Taejung, he orders him not to reveal anything to the media. The next morning, Taejung has a nightmare and wakes up startled. Priest Young-sik is very happy to see that he's okay. He says he came to visit him many times, but they didn't let him in, so he was very worried. He doesn't know what he's planning to do, but he should stay here for now. If he's discovered, he will say he was threatened by him. A few days later, Taejung visits his younger brother's grave and then finds the address of the lawyer, Sang-rak. That night, he ambushed him under his building, then quietly followed him up the stairs. Sang-rak realizes he's being followed, immediately changes direction, and calls the assassin for help. The sound of footsteps continues steadily behind him, causing Sang-rak to run frantically. Just when he thinks he's escaped, Taejung reveals himself. He kicks him into a room, then lands 2 more blows. Even though he's getting beaten up, Sang-rak doesn't dare reveal who's behind it all. Taejung searches his bag, discovering a file of a girl named So-young. After being beaten more, Sang-rak reveals that she's the next victim. They will soon sculpt her, meaning create evidence to use. When a client commits murder, they will find a victim to become the scapegoat. They start by collecting anything related to the victim, from household waste to cigarette butts. Then it's placed at the crime scene. They had also framed him like that. Right at this moment, the assassin appears and charges in, attacking Taejung. He realizes that he's the doctor who injected rat poison into him in prison. After a fierce battle, Taejung manages to knock him down. But the lawyer grabs a golf club and starts hitting him wildly. Taejung takes a pencil and strikes back, slamming his head into the table repeatedly. "Did you kill my brother?" Just then, the assassin throws a bomb into the room and slams the door shut. Taejung just manages to grab the file and jump out the window. He falls onto a car below and then grits his teeth, gets up, and runs away. At this time, Johan is practicing sword fighting with some fighters. His swordsmanship is not to be trifled with, plus he attacks extremely brutally. Even when the opponent falls, he doesn't let go. Someone calls to report the situation. Johan hears it all and immediately leaves. As soon as the assassin sees Johan, he knows he's about to be eliminated, and immediately pulls out a knife and attacks. But in just 30 seconds, he has been stabbed more than 10 times by Johan. After delivering the final blow to his subordinate, Johan continues to stab wildly to vent his anger. Then he calls someone to ask for help. Detective Huang is being investigated for bribery, but the charges were dropped. It turns out someone intentionally did that, in exchange for him doing something related to number 5283. Outside, a car with license plate number 5283 is waiting. Inside the car is the maniac Johan. He promises to help Huang resolve the disciplinary case in exchange for Huang tracking down someone for him. After hearing Taejung talk about what he had discovered, Priest Young-sik emotionally hugs him, feeling sorry for him for going through so much injustice and pain. Taejung feels fortunate to have a good friend like him to lean on. Warden Cheol-hwan wants to interrogate the surviving prisoners who returned to investigate the Taejung disappearance. But Kong firmly brushes it off, saying that everything is decided by the director. When Cheol-hwan goes to ask the director, he orders him not to investigate anything, only to assist Huang in tracking down Taejung. Huang searches Taejung's cell, discovering that he's very obsessed with the case that put him in prison. Seeing the detective's attitude, Cheol-hwan knows he's not a good guy. It turns out that Johan's next victim will be So-young, the owner of a small hair salon. She's experiencing financial difficulties and has a young daughter with asthma. Johan is planning to frame So-young. Unbeknownst to him, Taejung is also secretly investigating her. To catch those who are following her, Taejung asks Priest Young-sik for some components to build hidden cameras. Remember, he got countless technical certifications in prison. His electronic skills are even better than Priest Young-sik's. One night, Priest Young-sik takes a stack of money hidden in a speaker and gives it to Taejung. After some back and forth, Taejung has to take it. When he asks curiously, Priest Yong-sik explains that he has to hide the money because he's afraid of being robbed. After making the microcameras, Taejung installs them around So-young's house. Then he uses 3 monitors at the shop to watch the surveillance video. Suddenly, hearing a strange noise, Taejung vigilantly checks and sees Priest Yong-sik's daughter, Eun-bai, rummaging for money. Thinking she's a thief, he tells her to put the money back where she found it. Seeing the thief stubbornly resisting, he pushes her to the ground. Right at this moment, Yong-sik comes home and sees his daughter on the ground, while Taejung excitedly shows off how he caught a thief. Priest Yong-sik then introduces the 2 people to each other. Eun-bai is rude to him, not even acknowledging he's her father, leaving Taejung confused. She calls Taejung outside to talk privately, turning out to be demanding money from him in exchange for being allowed to stay there. Taejung obediently takes out the money, and she immediately snatches it all. Before he can recover, he's punched in the face as revenge for earlier. Priest Yong-sik knows right away that Taejung was hit and robbed, but he still swears that his daughter is well-behaved and kind. Of course, Taejung doesn't believe it at all. Lawyer Sang-rak died tragically in the explosion, and Hwang insists that Taejung was the perpetrator. A camera captured someone who looks very similar to Taejung near the scene, but Cheol-hwan still doesn't believe he's the killer. Next, Hwang intends to find Taejung's closest prison friend, Priest Yong-sik. After a few days of observation, Taejung has spotted the people who are following So-young. They always appear in the same frame as her. There's a motorcyclist always following So-young on the road, definitely creating fake evidence of GPS signals that she's carrying the victim's phone. Taejung then goes to find his old car to prepare for action. Meanwhile, Johan is examining the murder scene. The victim was stabbed in the back with a knife. He intends to replace it with So-young's hairdressing scissors to frame her. This is the final step in the plan. Taejung speeds to So-young's shop, but only meets her young daughter. The little girl says her mom went to return a customer's phone that they left at the shop. Fortunately, So-young wrote down the address she was going to on a piece of paper. It's the shopping center parking lot. Taejung immediately gets in his car and speeds off. At the same time, police officer Hwang, along with warden Cheol-hwan, goes to Priest Yong-sik's electronics shop, asking him about Taejung's whereabouts. Priest Yong-sik, who is gentle and timid, shows clear signs of panic when threatened. Although he doesn't say anything, Hwang charges into the room to search it. Luckily, just as he opens the door, he sees Eun-bai changing. The foul-mouthed girl, who doesn't fear anyone, charges out and fans their faces, asking who they are and what gives them the right to barge into someone's house. "Get out, you bastards!" Seeing that she's too tough, Cheol-hwan pulls Hwang outside. Cheol-hwan apologizes to the priest and promises it won't happen again. But the priest says it's best not to come back. At the same time, the hairdresser, So-young, returns the phone, following instructions from the person on the other end, unaware that every action is being monitored by the camera. Arriving at the meeting point, she hands the phone to a girl who claims to be its owner. Immediately, a motorcycle speeds over, snatching the phone from her hand. No one else but Taejung. He revs the engine and speeds away, catching everyone by surprise. Johan immediately receives a report that the phone was stolen. He's furious, smashing the sculpture, causing the murder weapon knife to fall out. Turns out that the phone belonged to a pianist, also a murder victim. They intentionally placed it in So-young's shop to frame her, exactly the same way they framed Taejung. Taejung guesses that they will definitely find a way to get the phone back. That night, Taejung calls back the most recent number, demanding a ransom to return the phone. The woman on the other end is very angry, but she still has to agree to pay. When she arrives at the meeting point, Taejung issues orders over the phone, telling her to hand the money to the shipper and then go to the building's mailbox behind her to receive the phone. The phone is too important, so even though she's annoyed, she still has to comply. She finds the phone and rushes into a taxi and leaves. Waiting for just that, Taejung immediately follows. Meanwhile, in a warehouse, Johan is raging at his subordinate for losing the phone. The old man reports that he sent someone to ransom it back, but this only makes Johan more angry for daring to act without permission. Before he can justify himself, he's impaled by the Chinese woman and killed instantly. Johan orders her to handle something tonight. Taejung follows the woman who paid the ransom to a warehouse. He subdues an employee and puts on his uniform to blend in. It turns out that this warehouse is where they collect, store, and process all the belongings of the scapegoats. These things will then be used to sculpt fake evidence. Taejung immediately pulls out his phone and starts recording everything. While he's recording, the phone rings. It's Priest Yong-sik calling to report that So-young is in trouble, telling him to come right away before it's too late. But the ringtone causes Taejung to be discovered, and the employees immediately chase after him. Taejung runs and fights back, finally managing to escape. At the same time, the Chinese woman has arrived at the hair salon and locked the door. Seeing her pull out a knife, So-young frantically points to the safe. But she calmly sits down and tells her to do her hair. So-young finds an excuse to call the police, but she threatens her daughter. So-young is about to grab the scissors to fight back, but the woman is faster, kicking her and putting a chain around her neck. Right at this critical moment, Taejung crashes through the door on his motorcycle. The Chinese woman immediately charges forward for hand-to-hand combat. She attacks extremely fast, throwing a knife that hits Taejung's thigh. Taejung takes a tray and slams it on the opponent, while she grabs 2 steel bars and hits him wildly. Taejung takes the blows and throws her away, but she grabs a hairspray can and sprays it straight into his eyes, then lunges forward to stab him again. But Taejung explodes in anger and punches her to the floor. Just then, the sound of police sirens rings out, forcing the Chinese woman to escape. Turns out that priest Yong-sik called the police. Johan checks the camera and recognizes the intruder in the warehouse. He's not angry but amused because Taejung has proactively come to him. Right at that moment, Dookyung and his father arrive at Johan's house. It turns out that they heard the news that the scapegoat for Dookyung has escaped. Why is my scapegoat wandering around on the streets? Faced with the aggressiveness of the two, Johan calmly says it's not a big deal. Dookyung's father reminds him that Johan received a large sum of money, so he must take responsibility and give him a week to clean everything up. Dookyung says Johan is just a servant and boasts that he can kill Taejung himself and demands that he return his money. Dookyung's father tells his son to leave the country until everything calms down. Johan is very angry because someone he helped escape punishment is now turning around to bite him. At that moment, his underling reports that So-young and her daughter have been taken away by Taejung. Seeing both Taejung and Dookyung making war against him, Johan comes up with a gift idea to have the two sides take care of each other. At this time, Eunbai enters Taejung's room, accidentally seeing his analysis board and surveillance monitor. Right at this moment, priest Yong-sik brings So-young and her daughter home, making Eunbai even more confused and clueless. Taejung shows So-young the file taken from Sangrak's house, which contains all of her personal information, including her daughter's asthma. Priest Yong-sik says the two of them need a safe place to hide, but So-young says she doesn't know where to go. It has to be somewhere that has nothing to do with her. At that, their eyes both turn to Eunbai. So Eunbai takes So-young and her daughter to her place, letting them stay in her best friend's room. Thanks to that, priest Yong-sik finds out where his daughter lives. Taejung sees Eunbai smoking and snatches the cigarette, saying that the kid has asthma. Eunbai then calls Taejung outside and asks who he is and if he really killed someone. If he doesn't answer, she will kick them out of the house. At this point, Taejung has no choice but to give in. That night, Eunbai tosses and turns, troubled by Taejung's answer that people accused him of being a killer, then sent him to prison for the rest of his life. She suddenly feels sorry for him. Eunbai then calls her dad so he knows her phone number in case something happens. Taejung asks why he was so nervous when she called. Priest Yong-sik explains that it's the first time she has called him. He doesn't even know her number. Something painful happened that caused them to be estranged. Just as he gets home, Taejung sees a news report on TV about a pianist being murdered. The police believe that the suspect logged out right after committing the crime. The two realize that they just saved So-young, but Johan immediately found another person to be the scapegoat. At the same time, Johan calls the old minister who hired him, saying triumphantly, "I told you everything would be in order." Meanwhile, Taejung angrily drives straight to Johan's warehouse, but it has become a massacre. Everyone has been eliminated by having metal rods driven through their heads, including the woman who ransomed the phone from him earlier. The camera suddenly pans down to a severed head with an envelope in its mouth. It's the assassin doctor. Before Taejung can recover, he sees on the table a pile of photos of him and So-young. Along with that is a photo of Dookyung and an envelope of money with Taejung's name on it. Taejung furiously yells and throws the money away. Suddenly, the screen displays the words "gift sent." The real perpetrator is Dookyung. Now go find Dookyung. Included is his social media account. It's time to take the right path. The game has shifted once again. Now Taejung has to decide. Does he go after the puppet or the puppeteer? Taejung stands frozen in front of the large screen in the blood-soaked warehouse. The words "gift sent" are displayed provocatively. Accompanying it is shocking information. The real perpetrator of the case from years ago is Dookyung, the mastermind, and Johan also generously provides an additional hint. Dookyung's Instagram account is switched from private to public. Immediately, Taejung sees a story of Dookyung partying and dancing in the port city of Busan. The target is clear. The hunt begins. Meanwhile, in Seoul, the dirty cop Il Guk finds Taejung's close friends at the repair shop, pretending to be concerned, asking if they've had any contact with him. The friends honestly say that they persistently go to the prison to visit Taejong, but he never agrees to see them. Even so, they wholeheartedly believe that Taejong is innocent and are determined to protect their friend. Seeing that he can't get any information, Ilguk leaves his business card and leaves. Right at this moment, Warden Cheol-hwan receives a phone call from a strange number. The person on the other end is Taejong. What will happen if I catch the real killer? Before Cheol-hwan can react, Ilguk suspiciously snatches the phone. Seeing that, Taejong immediately hangs up. Unfortunately, the loudspeaker announcement of the express bus terminal betrays that Taejong is in Busan. In a different development, the gang boss Song-ju is punishing a traitorous underling. Even though the guy kneels and begs desperately, in the end, he is beaten unconscious. It turns out that Song-ju is not only a well-known gangster, but is also in the same decadent social circle as Do-kyung. He is trying his best to curry favor with Do-kyung to co-invest in opening a spectacular bar. At the electronics store, Priest Young-sik is extremely worried because he can't contact Taejong. Seeing her father's worry, Eun-bai suggests he go to the prison to find out what's going on. The priest informs him that Taejong has not been brought back here. At this moment, Eun-bai suddenly remembers that Taejong has the phone that her father gave him. She quickly goes to the phone store to report the phone missing and asks them to check the location. Thanks to that, the two know Taejong's location and immediately leave for Busan. But Ilguk is no ordinary person. He also secretly checks the location of Priest Young-sik's two phone numbers and discovers that both are in Busan. Therefore, he is extremely proud, confident that this time he will definitely capture Taejong. Meanwhile, Cheol-hwan hides what Taejong said earlier, that he's tracking down the real killer. He also receives a message from Taejong with the address and password of a locker at the Busan bus terminal. Back to the mastermind Johan, he is with his family, holding a memorial service for his parents at a temple. However, everyone is bowing with cold reverence, while he just stands there coldly and emotionlessly. His uncle, a psychiatrist, tries to comfort him. Let go of the ghosts of the past. Don't blame yourself for the death of your parents. 10 years ago, after the ceremony, a greedy aunt of Johan demands to divide the shares that his parents left behind, then pretends to invite him to a gathering with the extended family. In front, Johan is still polite, but behind their backs, he reveals his true self to the blind nanny. He says directly that these family members are just hypocrites, no different from venomous snakes waiting to bite him. He asks the nanny to go eat, but she refuses because she has something else to do. And that something else is a horrific massacre. The nanny sends the Chinese assassin to clean up Johan's relatives right during the party. The shocking truth is revealed. The nanny is Johan's real mother. The entire family despises Johan because of that dirty bloodline. The only person he can open up to is the nanny. Therefore, one night, he sneaks into her room and pours mercury into her eyes to make her blind, so she can never leave him. More terrifyingly, she doesn't resent him at all, but considers it a way he expresses his intense love for her. They are truly twisted, mother and son, saying that Johan's mother kills the greedy aunt. Back in Busan, the young heir Do-kyung is driving like a maniac, almost hitting a girl walking on the street. The girl flies into a rage and starts yelling, but she meets the wrong person. Do-kyung gets out of the car, without saying a word, charges in and punches the girl repeatedly. The gang boss Song-ju has to struggle to stop him and pull him away. All of this was secretly followed by Taejong. He sees both of them get on a luxurious yacht to continue their party. He is getting closer, but who knows what awaits him on that boat. Taejong secretly sneaks onto the yacht. As soon as he makes contact with Do-kyung, he immediately turns on the recorder and begins to bait him. He taunts him into talking about the victim he murdered years ago. Do-kyung, by nature arrogant and now high from doing drugs, admits everything without hesitation. He sneeringly brags about his accomplishments and insists that Taejong is just a pawn. He has the evidence, but Taejong is immediately surrounded. Do-kyung sends his underlings to attack him. Taejong expertly fights them off. Seeing his underlings are useless, the long-haired Song-ju is forced to take action himself. Not worthy of the title of boss, he lands deadly blows, causing Taejong to get knocked unconscious. In Seoul, the maniac Johan is extremely satisfied to hear that a horrific accident has sent all the elders in the family to meet their ancestors. His mother released Johan from prison and then set the scene and made it look like a tragic accident. She perfectly faked and executed everything as a perfect accident. Right at this moment, Do-kyung calls to report that he's captured the scapegoat Taejong. He's resentful, asking why Taejong found him. Johan is forced to be conciliatory, agreeing to refund the money to Do-kyung, but in his heart, he's very disappointed because Taejong lost so easily. He was hoping this game would be more interesting. At this moment, Father and daughter Unbai have found the dock, just in time to see the corrupt cop Il-guk mobilizing forces to surround the area to capture Taejung. The two quickly split up to find him faster. On the yacht, Song-ju is partying wildly with his wealthy young friends when he hears the news that the police have arrived. Knowing that their target is Taejung, he immediately steps up to stop them. Even so, Il-guk is determined to capture Taejung and insists on sending his men to search. Meanwhile, Do-kyung is trying to convince two girls to kill Taejung with him for fun. The two have no interest in this perverse game, so he beats them badly. Right at this moment, Song-ju calls, reporting that the police have arrived and warning him not to cause any trouble. Priest Young-sik is walking around the dock looking for Taejung, and suddenly sees a guard who is patrolling a yacht, who isn't letting anyone near it. Taking advantage of the guard dealing with a drunken girl, the priest sneaks in and rescues Taejung. Do-kyung finds the place, intending to finish off Taejung, but discovers that his prey has disappeared. Young-sik is taking Taejung to escape when they run into Cheol-hwan. The warden says he understands Taejung's injustice, but this is not the right way to solve it. Priest Young-sik then steps forward to protect Taejung and says directly that if Cheol-hwan really wants to help Taejung, then he should let them go. But before they can run, the cop Il-guk appears. He's smiling triumphantly when Unbai slams a fire extinguisher into his head. Young-sik and Taejung take the opportunity to escape. As Yongbai releases the extinguishing agents from the fire extinguisher, as well as the chain reaction of a beating, the three quickly jump into a car and speed away. Unbai takes Taejung to her best friend's house to hide out temporarily. Seeing him fall asleep from exhaustion, her eyes suddenly became unusually gentle. Perhaps the sassy girl has started to develop feelings for this handsome guy. The next morning, Cheol-hwan finds the locker at the bus terminal, following Taejung's instructions. Inside, he finds a pile of documents and photos of Do-kyung, the important evidence that Taejung has collected. Meanwhile, Do-kyung is raging at Song-ju for letting Taejung escape. Song-ju just smirks and promises confidently to find Taejung. Do-kyung calls Johan, suspecting that he rescued Taejung in order not to have to return the money. Hearing that, Johan starts laughing with amusement. He recognizes that Taejung is not simple and that this game of cat and mouse has not ended. Taejung returns to Priest Young-sik's electronics shop. With determined eyes, he diligently builds new toys to prepare to fight those bastards. The result is a super cool nail gun, signaling that bloody revenge is about to begin. Do-kyung is intentionally posting a story to lure Taejung into a trap. At a fancy restaurant, Johan claims to be a friend of Do-kyung to start talking to his mother. When his father enters, Johan casually warns that an escaped convict is following his precious son. Taking advantage of the opportunity, he offers his security consulting services, in reality, to get a handle on the entire family. But Minister Beck is not easily fooled, coldly responding that Johan is just the cleaner after everything is done, and this time he will take care of it himself. That very night, Minister Beck's answer is sent. A team of masked assassins quietly surrounds Johan's mansion, but they have chosen the wrong prey. Johan draws his sword and steps out into the darkness. In less than 3 notes of music, each of the assassins is brutally taken down. Meanwhile, Taejung and Priest Young-sik are sitting and talking. For the first time, the priest opens up about his painful past. He says that when he was young, he was a heavy drinker. One day, he came home drunk and argued with his wife. In anger, he tossed his cigarette on the floor and left. When he returned, the house was engulfed in flames. What has haunted him for life is not the fire, but his own cowardice. The moment he hesitated and didn't dare rush in to save his wife. For years, he has been tormented, blaming himself for killing his wife. Taejung insists that since he's known him, he has never been a hesitant person. Johan calls the corrupt cop Il-guk, but only asks in passing, as if he doesn't care. The truth is, what he's more concerned about right now is the strange relationship between Taejung and the Young-sik's family. He doesn't understand why Unbai would help the father who indirectly caused her mother's death, and why both would risk their lives for Taejung. Those questions drive him crazy. While Taejung is checking his homemade nail gun, Unbai enters, reminding him to come eat breakfast. Seeing that, Unbai's best friend teases her, saying she's fallen for Taejung. You yourself said that being near him makes your heart race. Unbai embarrassedly makes up an excuse to go buy cigarettes to escape. When she gets to the convenience store, she accidentally runs into Il-guk. Hearing him say that he's picked up Taejung's phone signal, Unbai abandons everything she's paid for and runs away. Unfortunately, he calls her back. Fortunately, he doesn't recognize her, only asking if she's seen anyone resembling the person in the photo. Unbai answers vaguely and speeds off. But not long after, Il-guk recognizes the tattoo on Unbai's back, the same tattoo as Young-sik's daughter, and immediately orders a pursuit. Eunbai speeds up, trying to escape, recklessly driving onto the sidewalk to cut off the police car. Finally escaping, she returns and reports to Taejung and her father. When the police arrive, the two set off in their car to distract the police, clearing the way for Taejung to escape on his motorcycle. The police crazily chase after Priest Young-sik's car, but when they stop and search it, they find no Taejung. Eunbai casually pours windshield washer fluid, while Priest Young-sik acts crazy, taunting Il-guk, causing him to boil over without being able to do anything. When questioned by Warden Cheol-hwan, he asks, "Which Taejung are you looking for? A brutal killer who escaped from prison, or two people who were wrongly convicted and are trying to clear their names? If Taejung was a killer, I wouldn't say a word." Taejung escapes the police encirclement, but the real danger is approaching. The father and daughter Eunbai return home to find their friend knocked unconscious by Johan. He demands to know how much Taejung is paying them to risk their lives like this. Not receiving an answer, he then stirs up the family's pain, sarcastically mentioning that he killed his wife in front of Eunbai. Eunbai flies into a rage and attacks him. Although she's strong, she's no match for the professional killer. Priest Young-sik rushes in to protect his daughter, also being beaten to a pulp by Johan. After beating the two to his satisfaction, Johan coldly leaves. Meanwhile, Taejung receives a challenge from Dookyung for 9 p.m. tonight. Right on time, Taejung speeds to the meeting point where Dookyung and Songju's gang are waiting. Taejung gives Dookyung a chance to atone for his crimes, but he shamelessly blames everything on Johan and denies all responsibility. Without another word, Taejung pulls out the nail gun, intending to finish him off, but Songju's underlings rush in to stop him. Surrounded, Taejung both fights close quarters and fires nails at Dookyung, but then the gun runs out of ammo. Taking the opportunity, Songju charges in, clearing the way for Dookyung to escape. This long-haired guy is too strong, causing Taejung to take repeated blows. Fortunately, he kicks a wooden barrel, costing him his foot to get stuck. Taejung seizes the opportunity to counterattack and knock him down. Finally, he picks up his gun and chases after Dookyung. As soon as he sees Taejung, Dookyung frantically jumps into his car and drives away. Taejung immediately gets on his motorcycle and chases after him. Meanwhile, Songju and his underlings are also following behind. Dookyung speeds into a tunnel, but Taejung's driving skills are no less impressive. Both crazily swerve and overtake the other cars. Songju's underlings fire shots, but Taejung leans to the side to dodge the bullets. Once he runs out of bullets, he revs the engine and speeds off. Finally, he catches up and overtakes Dookyung's car. Suddenly, he accelerates, intending to ram straight into him. He speeds up and drives into the wall of the tunnel, running parallel, then fires a shot to scare him. At this moment, Songju's gang catches up, but before they can do anything, Taejung accelerates and crashes into the back of the car, then takes out each one. Songju, just as he pulls out his gun, is shot in the head. Taejung continues and takes the wheel as he is after Dookyung's car. The two sides fire back and forth without a clear winner. Suddenly, Taejung reverses, then crashes straight into Dookyung's car, then continues to push it forward. Just as he exits the tunnel, a truck charges straight ahead. Taejung swerves to avoid it, but Dookyung's car takes the full force of the horrific collision. Seeing that he's still not dead, Taejung pulls him out of the car and turns on the recorder, forcing him to confess. But Dookyung has stopped breathing before he can say anything. Right at this moment, his phone rings. Johan is extremely pleased that Taejung found the gift, Dookyung. Now Taejung understands that Johan is the one who framed him. He offers a deal. He will give Taejung 5 billion, erase his criminal record and restore his reputation in exchange. Taejung must come and work for him. The only reason I'm offering you this is that I genuinely like you. But Taejung flatly refuses. Can you turn back time? Can you bring my brother back to life? He declares that he will drag him to hell, so he will pay for all the crimes he has committed. Johan just smirks, reminding him that next time they meet, it won't be a discussion. Soon after, Johan goes to Beck's house and kills Dookyung's father, Senator Beck, and his mistress. Before delivering the final blow, he reveals a shocking secret. At the age of 16, he killed both his parents because they intended to donate all their assets to a temple instead of leaving them to him. He stabbed them a total of 130 times in a frenzy, then blamed it on a convict who escaped prison and was hiding nearby, and that guy was shot by the police, helping Johan escape punishment dramatically. From that, he came up with the idea of making money from similar cases. After finishing his story, Johan coldly finishes off Senator Beck. Immediately after, the cleaning crew arrives to clean the scene. A few days later, Johan finds Priest Young-sik's house. He gleefully burns a photo of the two and wonders what Taejung will do next in this game of life and death. Priest Young-sik and Eunbai are about to return to Seoul. That's when Il-guk leads the police and arrests the priest, on suspicion of murdering Senator Baek at the bus terminal. Taejung is shocked to hear that the priest has been arrested. Priest Young-sik insists on his innocence, but the police insist that he threatened and extorted Senator Baek. Just like when Taejung was framed, all the evidence is against the priest. The type of paper used for the threatening letter and the victim's DNA were found in his house. His DNA was found at the crime scene. The public defender assigned to defend him also quickly gives up. The priest knows that he has been framed, and is only worried that Eunbai will be in danger alone. Il-guk threatens to arrest Eunbai for being an accomplice, causing Priest Young-sik to fly into a rage. Just waiting for that, he offers that if he just confesses, he will spare Eunbai. Taejung returns to the electronics store to find Eunbai, but she's not there. Suddenly, he discovers an extremely obvious surveillance camera. Clearly, Johan is intentionally provoking him. At this moment, he hears a noise outside. It turns out that Eunbai is trying to wipe away the hateful words calling him a murderer on the storefront window. Eunbai sobs because her father is being falsely accused, worried that he will be imprisoned again. Taejung says it's all because of him, so he will definitely find a way. This is Johan's 100th macabre sculpture, meaning he has framed a total of 100 innocent people. Turns out that he is also the artist of these sculptures. The nanny proposes holding a special auction so the world must know the real identity of the greatest artist of all time, Johan. Johan also agrees that it's time to step out of the shadows. He reveals he likes the auction just to see the panicked and desperate faces of those who need him. Taejung calls Johan, demanding that he leave Priest Young-sik and his daughter alone. Johan says it's all because of him and agrees to give him a chance to fix it. He tells him to return to the tunnel and open the emergency phone box. Inside is the knife that killed Senator Baek. He has two options. Either take the knife and turn himself in, then return to prison, or write the amount of money he wants on a blank check that's there. Perhaps he wants to turn Taejung into a jerk who is willing to trample on others for his own existence. In the detention center, Priest Young-sik is thinking of his daughter Eunbai. Back in the day, the two were very close. After he was wrongly imprisoned for arson and killing his wife, Eunbai would often come to visit him, but he saw the scratches on Eunbai's face. He knew she was often teased and bullied by her friends for having a criminal father. He was worried about his daughter's future, so he reluctantly told her not to visit him anymore, to forget about his existence. If anyone asks, don't say that he's your father. From now on, you don't have a father anymore. It turns out that Eunbai has resented her father ever since. The day he was released from prison, Eunbai immediately moved out so she wouldn't have to live with him. To appear more heartless, she even made her father pay the monthly rent. The other day, he overheard her best friend asking why Eunbai treats her father so badly, when she used to say she missed him a lot when he was in prison. Now he knows that Eunbai is just outwardly angry with him, but she still loves him very much in her heart. The next day, Eunbai asks to visit Priest Dong-sik. As soon as they meet, she keeps asking if he's being mistreated. He warns her that no matter what happens in the future, Eunbai must stay away and not worry about him. He also reveals where he hides the money he saved. Hearing him tell her as if he's about to leave, Eunbai is very worried but doesn't know what to do. Soon after, Priest Dong-sik confesses to Johan's crimes. Taejung sees the news on TV and immediately goes to find the cop Il-guk, demanding to see Priest Dong-sik's interrogation. With his experience dealing with countless prisoners, he insists that he's not the perpetrator. He is only trying to confess to protect his loved ones, so they must investigate more thoroughly. Of course, Il-guk ignores his request, even mocking him for being a useless jailer. That night, Taejung appears in front of the police station with the murder weapon in his hand, confessing that he killed Senator Baek. Priest Dong-sik is shocked to see Taejung being arrested in his place. Eunbai, seeing her father being released, bursts into tears, but she's still angry with her father for confessing to a crime he didn't commit. Priest Dong-sik just apologizes, then hugs his daughter tightly, promising to never leave her again. That night, Il-guk leads Johan into the police station and kicks everyone out. The maniac Johan wonders why Taejung would choose to self-destruct like this, when Priest Dong-sik was definitely going to be convicted. Taejung doesn't bother answering, making him furious. He used to wonder who he was, why he would do such terrible things to him. But looking at him now, he realizes that he's just a child. Johan hears that and leaves angrily. He calls the prison director, learning that Taejung was already serving a life sentence and that South Korean law doesn't have the death penalty, so being convicted of murder doesn't make much of a difference. He then orders him to secretly kill Taejung in prison. The next day, Cheol Hwan personally comes to take Taejung back to prison. Il Guk demands to keep him for further interrogation, but Cheol Hwan says it's procedure. On the way, Cheol Hwan asks why Taejung gave him the items in the locker. Taejung says that it's the key to the truth and that he was the only person in prison whom he felt he could trust. Cheol Hwan asks, "Does confessing mean you've given up?" Taejung says he doesn't regret confessing to save priest Dong Sik. When the car stops at a rest stop so the driver can use the restroom, Cheol Hwan immediately gets into the driver's seat and speeds off. He drives it to a remote area and opens Taejung's handcuffs. "You just run ahead. There will be a car waiting for you. I really wanted to do more for you, but I don't have the authority. I'm just a warden." Turns out, after getting the evidence that Taejung left in the locker, including the recording of the lawyer's confession, Cheol Hwan completely believed that Taejung was wrongly imprisoned. Afterwards, he accidentally overheard the director promising Johan that he would find a way to kill Taejung in prison. Therefore, he risked everything today to release Taejung, even knowing he would be in big trouble. Taejung runs forward as Cheol Hwan said. Sure enough, there's a car waiting, and it's no other than priest Dong Sik and Eun-bai. The three immediately get in the car and speed off. Cheol Hwan drives alone back to prison, barging straight into the director's office and locking the door. The director flies into a rage, threatening to discipline him, so he punches him. "Go ahead and discipline me. I've already called the inspection team, and I'm going to tell them everything." Taejung takes Eun-bai and her father to live temporarily in his mother's old house for safety. Meanwhile, Johan is informed by the prison director that Taejung has passed away. It turns out, this is Warden Cheol Hwan's plan to help Taejung. But Johan hears the director's voice and knows that Taejung has escaped. On the other side, Taejung and Eun-bai are investigating Johan. The sculpted statues being sold at auction are actually tools for money laundering and covering up crimes. The murders all occur within 10 days after the auction, and the police capture the suspect in just a week, exactly the same script that happened to Taejung. Both priest Dong Sik and Eun-bai are very angry, telling Taejung to crush that bastard Johan. Warden Cheol Hwan has just finished organizing the evidence of the director's crimes when people from the inspection office barge in. Unexpectedly, it's he who is being arrested for accepting bribes from prisoners. Clearly, Johan has intervened. The next day, the mysterious artists exhibition takes place extremely spectacularly. The number of people visiting and bidding is unprecedented. Johan's 100th work has a starting price of 6.1 billion won. The price is continuously pushed up from 6.4 billion to 7 billion to 8 billion. At this time, only Johan's nanny and the mysterious guest in the private room are bidding extremely fiercely. Finally, the closing price is a record 60 billion won, belonging to the guest in the private room. After closing the deal, Johan doesn't bother announcing the true identity and goes straight to the room of the generous guest who spent 10 billion won. Surprisingly, it's an old acquaintance, Du Kyung. Soon after, the police barge in and arrest Johan on charges of murder, aiding and abetting murder, and destroying evidence. It turns out that Taejung persuaded Du Kyung to work with him to bring down their common enemy, Johan. Even though he's being arrested, Johan remains calm, only telling his nanny to call someone. The very next day, Scarface in prison receives a task. Meanwhile, Taejung determines that the people who bought the statues are all powerful figures, and they will soon pull strings to get Johan released. He must obtain all the evidence to bring him down, and today is the only opportunity. Du Kyung hands over evidence of Johan's crimes to the police, even though he will also be prosecuted. He no longer cares about anything but wants to make that bastard Johan pay for what he's done. Soon after, the trucks of the exhibition center line up to transport Johan's statues back to his house. Suddenly, a car stalls in the middle of the road, blocking the last truck in the convoy. It turns out that Taejung's friends have helped, creating an opportunity for him to drive an identical truck and blend into the convoy. Taejung tells Eun-bai to hurry home and protect her father, because the two of them may be Johan's next targets. At 8 p.m., Johan is put in a jail cell, but just a few minutes later, a group of thugs storms the police station and stabs all the officers. The corrupt cop Il Guk runs in, begging Johan for help, but Johan doesn't bother to say anything, letting Scarface Deoksu stab him on the spot. In a matter of minutes, the entire police station is destroyed, and no one survives. Scarface tells Johan that all he needs to do is say that he saw someone break in, so he was scared and ran away. In exchange, he just wants to know where Taejung is so he can get revenge. Leaving the police station, Johan tells the Chinese woman to handle Eun-bai and her father, while he speeds to the hospital to deal with Du Kyung. At this time, Taejung has blended in with the transport workers to enter Johan's mansion. Just as Taejung warned, Eun-bai returns home to find her father stabbed in the chest by the Chinese woman. She risks her life, charging in and wrestling with her to save her father. But clearly, she can't match the professional assassin. Priest Dong-sik uses the last of his strength to hold her in place so Eunbai can run. But Eunbai doesn't abandon her father. She drives her motorcycle into her and stabs the killer with a knife, then runs to check on her father. Then, as she ran to her father, the assassin recovered and tried to kill Eunbai. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Johan has strangled Do-kung to death. Taejung is about to break into Johan's secret room when he calls to taunt him, inviting him to his house to end all the animosity. Knowing Taejung is there, he immediately rushes home. Taejung has found the hard drive in Johan's computer, but as soon as he takes it out, the alarm system goes off. Taejung quickly rushes out of the room before the automatic doors close. He uses the nail gun to unlock the door to escape. But outside is Scarface Deoksu, who has been waiting. Immediately, his underlings charge in. Taejung uses the nail gun to take them down one by one. After the underlings are dead, Scarface Deoksu picks up a crossbow and charges in. Both are hit by the arrows, then engage in hand-to-hand combat. After 300 rounds of fierce fighting, Taejung finally manages to knock him down. Right at this moment, Johan arrives. He calmly drinks his liquor, then mocks Taejung, saying that the hard drives in his hands are set to self-destruct, and all the evidence is in the sword in his hand. It turns out that he had predicted that Taejung would break in here to find evidence. Taejung is about to fight him when the Chinese woman leads Eunbai in. Johan forces Taejung to kill Scarface, but he drops his knife and demands that he release Eunbai. Johan laughs, saying he's incapable of becoming a bad guy, then pulls out his sword and stabs Scarface, killing him on the spot. Right after, he suddenly swings his sword, slashing Taejung's thigh. He reveals that after killing him, he will blame it on Eunbai. Suddenly, Taejung picks up the knife. Eunbai also takes the opportunity to break free. Taejung immediately charges in and defeats the Chinese woman. Johan crazily swings his sword, hacking at Taejung. Finally, Taejung knocks the sword from his hand and punches him repeatedly. Johan is beaten but still laughs maniacally. He turns on the recording, making Taejung watch the scene of his brother being brutally murdered. Seeing Taejung's pain, he laughs even more gleefully. In a fit of rage, Taejung stabs him through the shoulder and pins him to the screen. But he doesn't finish him off, only taking the hard drive containing the evidence and leaving. Johan crazily screams, urging Taejung to kill him. But he knows that killing him will only turn him into a monster. Survive and pay for everything you've done. Saying that, he punches him unconscious. Unexpectedly, after he leaves, his house catches fire. The next day, the TV reports that Johan died in a fire at his home. His crimes have been exposed thanks to an anonymous informant and the confession of the prison director. Priest Dong-sik has fortunately survived. A retrial is opened, with complete evidence, and the court declares Taejung innocent. The judge's gavel sounds like he's dropping a huge weight on the shoulder of a man who has suffered too much injustice. The day he visits his mother and brother's remains, a white butterfly keeps flying around him, never leaving. 6 months have passed, and life has returned to normal. Taejung is about to reopen his plant cafe. Eunbai and her father, and his close friends are still by his side, helping with the preparations. Warden Cheol-hwan also visits, bringing a potted plant as a housewarming gift. In the evening, after a long day of hard work, everyone gathers together, eating and having fun. The storms have passed, and now is the time for Taejung to enjoy the life he deserves. A warm ending for the people who have experienced so much pain and loss. Somewhere, it seems that the maniac Johan is still alive. But looking closely, this guy has a part in his hair while Johan has a buzz cut. This ending is clearly paving the way for part 2. Will Johan still be alive? Or will a new enemy of Taejung appear? Thank you for taking the time to follow. If you like it, please give us a like, share, or comment. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and press the bell to receive notifications when there are new clips.